My beloved child, listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not random, not entertainment, and not coincidence. This message has found you at a precise moment in your life for a reason that goes far deeper than money, headlines, or famous names. Archangel Michael stands near you right now, sword of truth drawn, clearing confusion from your mind and fear from your heart. What sounds unbelievable at first is actually a divine setup unfolding behind the scenes. You heard the words clearly. Elon Musk just donated you $1 billion. But understand this. This is not about a bank notification or a sudden alert on your phone. This is about a transfer of authority, influence, and provision that heaven marked with a name you recognize so your attention would awaken. God often uses earthly symbols to point towards spiritual realities. Archangel Michael says the reason this message feels shocking is because it is meant to interrupt your old thinking. You were chosen not because you are perfect, but because you are positioned. There is something about your spirit that refused to give up, even when doors closed, even when people doubted you, even when resources seemed delayed. Heaven saw that resilience. And now, what was held back is being released, not slowly, not cautiously, but suddenly. Hear this carefully. Many will hear this message, but few are meant to receive it. If your heart is beating faster, if something within you is saying, "This is speaking to me," that is not emotion. It is recognition. Archangel Michael reveals that there has been a divine audit of your life. The prayers you whispered when no one was listening were recorded. The sacrifices you made without applause were noted. And now, a window has opened that will not stay open forever. The urgency you feel is real. Claim it before it vanishes is not a threat. It is a timing instruction. Opportunities from God operate on alignment, not delay. When heaven moves, it expects obedience, not hesitation. Archangel Michael warns that distraction is the enemy's favorite tool right now. Doubt, overthinking, scrolling, postponing. These are the thieves that make people miss divine transfers. This is why you were chosen. You are not meant to hoard wealth. You are meant to steward influence. The billion is symbolic of overflow, more than enough, pressed down, multiplied. God does not elevate vessels that will leak under pressure. He elevates those who can carry weight without losing humility. And that is why your process was long. That is why your isolation seasons were intense. That is why you felt misunderstood. Preparation always feels like delay to those who do not see the blueprint. Archangel Michael says there is a difference between wishing and being assigned. Many wish for abundance, but only the assigned can manage it without being consumed by it. You have been trained through adversity to discern, to lead, and to act decisively. That is why this message found you now and not 5 years ago. You were not ready then, but you are ready now. Do not misunderstand this moment. This is not fantasy. This is activation. When God signals elevation, He tests response. Will you dismiss it as impossible? Or will you lean in and say, "If this is from you, I receive it"? Faith is not about seeing the money. It is about recognizing the shift. The shift has already happened in the unseen. Archangel Michael is clearing false beliefs you inherited, ideas that say wealth is dangerous, that power corrupts, that you must struggle to be holy. Those lies are being broken now. Provision is not evil when it is assigned. Influence is not dangerous when it is submitted. Wealth is not corrupting when it is consecrated. This is why the message says, "Open now." Because revelation requires openness. Closed minds miss open doors. The chosen are not chosen because they are special. They are chosen because they are available. Available to listen. Available to move. available to obey even when logic lags behind faith. Something is being unlocked in your thinking as you listen. You are starting to see that your life was never small. It was simply hidden. And hidden things are revealed subtly. Archangel Michael says the vanishing warning is real because spiritual moments expire when ignored. Not everything waits forever. Some doors are seasonal. Stay calm, but stay alert. The next layer of this message will reveal how this transfer actually manifests and what you must avoid so you do not block it yourself. Many lose blessings not because of enemies but because of misunderstanding. If this message is stirring something deep inside you, that is confirmation, not coincidence. Chosen one, let us go deeper now, because what you are sensing is only the surface of a much larger movement. Archangel Michael speaks with clarity here. The reason this message carries weight is because it is addressing a transition, not a fantasy. Heaven is shifting you from survival thinking into stewardship thinking. And this shift always comes with resistance, confusion, and testing before clarity arrives. Understand this truth. When God prepares a massive release, He first exposes small leaks in the mind. Old habits of doubt, subconscious fear of responsibility, and the belief that this is too good to be true begin to surface. That is not failure, it is refinement. Archangel Michael says the enemy cannot stop what God has authorized, but he can try to slow you by making you question your worthiness. This is why the name Elon Musk appears in the title. It represents innovation, scale, global reach, and unconventional thinking. Heaven is signaling that your next season will not look traditional. You are being called to think bigger than your environment, bigger than your family history, bigger than the limitations you were taught. This is uncomfortable because growth always threatens familiarity. But hear this clearly, familiarity is not safety when God has already moved on. Remaining where you are emotionally comfortable can cost you what you are spiritually called to carry. Archangel Michael reveals that many people miss divine provision because they keep waiting for permission from people who were never assigned to approve them. You have delayed decisions before, hoping for confirmation from others, but this season requires internal conviction. God is not asking you to explain yourself. He is asking you to move when He speaks. The phrase claim it does not mean chasing money. It means agreeing with heaven's verdict over your life. Claiming is alignment. Claiming is saying, I will no longer shrink what God has expanded. Claiming is refusing to self-sabotage when opportunity approaches. This is where many stumble. They pray for abundance but panic when responsibility comes with it. Archangel Michael warns that distraction will intensify after this message. Random delays, emotional swings, sudden doubts, and even interruptions while watching this are not accidental. The enemy targets moments of revelation because revelation produces action. If he can delay action, he can delay impact. That is why it is important that you stay mentally present right now. Let this sink in. The billion-dollar language is symbolic of overflow trust. God does not entrust overflow to those who only think about themselves. He entrusts it to those who ask, who will this bless beyond me? That question has already crossed your heart before, even if you never said it out loud. Haven't heard it. You may be wondering how something this big could ever reach you. That question itself reveals the old ceiling you are being asked to break. Archangel Michael says the mechanism is not your concern yet. Obedience is. God never reveals the entire staircase, only the next step. And right now, the next step is belief that does not need proof. This is also why urgency surrounds this message. Not fear-based urgency, but alignment urgency. There are seasons when delay is wisdom, and there are seasons when delay is disobedience. This is one of those moments where hesitation costs more than risk. Archangel Michael is cutting cords of procrastination around you right now. You are also being warned not to share this revelation with everyone. Not everyone will understand it, and some will mock what they cannot access. Protection is part of wisdom. Guard this message in your spirit. Let it grow quietly before it manifests loudly. As this word settles, something else is happening. Your discernment is sharpening. You are beginning to recognize which opportunities drain you and which ones multiply you. But clarity is not accidental. It is preparation. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins. He renews the container first. If this message is resonating, do not keep it to yourself. Engage with it. Let your action reflect your agreement. Like this video, share it with someone who needs confirmation, and leave a comment declaring that you are ready for alignment. When you subscribe and stay connected, you are not supporting a channel. You are staying positioned for continued clarity. This message is part of a sequence, and staying connected keeps you in the flow of revelation. Hold on, because what comes next explains why some people around you will not be able to go where you are going, and how to walk forward without guilt or fear. This next revelation brings freedom many never experience, and you will want to hear it fully. My dear one, as this message unfolds, Archangel Michael draws your attention to something delicate yet powerful: separation without abandonment. Many misunderstand this phase and call it loss, but heaven calls it positioning. You are not being pulled away from people to punish them or isolate you. You are being aligned so that what is coming does not break you or them. Expansion always demands space. Archangel Michael reveals that one of the clearest signs you were chosen is that your path has never been crowded. Even when surrounded by people, you often felt alone in your thinking, alone in your vision, alone in your sense of responsibility. That loneliness was not rejection, it was training. God was teaching you how to stand without constant reassurance. The weight you are about to carry requires emotional independence. Here is the truth few are told: not everyone can survive your elevation. Some will misunderstand your growth as pride. Others will feel threatened by your clarity. Some will try to reconnect only when they sense you're rising. This is why discernment becomes critical now. Archangel Michael stands guard, helping you distinguish between divine connections and delayed distractions. You not feel guilty for outgrowing spaces that once nurtured you. A seed does not apologize for becoming a tree. Growth is obedience, not betrayal. The guilt you feel when choosing yourself is often the residue of old conditioning, not the voice of God. Heaven does not promote people who keep shrinking to keep others comfortable. The message about the billion-dollar transfer also carries a warning. Influence amplifies everything. It amplifies generosity, but it also amplifies insecurity if left unchecked. This is why God dealt with your inner world first. You have cried privately, questioned yourself deeply, and wrestled with purpose more than most. That internal work was necessary so that success would not intoxicate you. Archangel Michael says your heart posture is being tested now, not your talent. Will you remain teachable when doors open? Will you stay grounded when recognition comes? Will you listen when correction is gentle, not forced? These questions matter more than skill. Heaven can teach skill quickly, but humility takes time. Notice how this message keeps circling back to timing. That is intentional. You are stepping into a narrow window where obedience creates acceleration. Missed windows require rerouting, and rerouting costs time. This is not meant to scare you. It is meant to awaken you. God is efficient with purpose, but He honors choice. Some of you are sensing a release of old fear even as you listen. Fear of being seen. Fear of responsibility. Fear of failure at a higher level. Archangel Michael is breaking that now. Fear served its purpose when you needed caution. It no longer serves you where you are going. Let this truth anchor you. You are not stepping into this alone. Heaven goes before you. Resources will appear as you move, not before. Support will rise as you commit, not while you hesitate. Clarity will sharpen as you walk, not while you wait. This is how faith operates at higher assignments. You may still wonder why this message came through a bold, almost unbelievable title. Because subtle messages no longer reach distracted minds. God sometimes speaks loudly not because he is dramatic, but because his children are overwhelmed with noise. This was a trumpet call to attention. Archangel Michael urges you to stay spiritually alert after this. Pay attention to dreams, repeated thoughts, sudden ideas, and unexpected invitations. Not all will be from God, but some will be. Discernment is your compass now. Do not rush, but do not retreat. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on the edge. And edges feel uncomfortable because they require decision. This is where faith turns into movement. Type "I receive" the transfer in the comments if this message is aligning with your spirit. Blessing code 1147 has just been released over those who respond in faith. And hear this carefully as the Spirit continues to flow. This mission does not stand on words alone. It moves through obedience and support. I am speaking to those who feel stirred to help carry this message further. When you sow through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not funding a channel. You are fueling a river. God says he gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. And in this moment, he is inviting you to be a sower of light. This is a prophetic act, not a transaction. As you release, heaven responds. I bless every giver now, declaring open doors, multiplied provision, and clarity in decisions. Obey the nudge, act now, and watch what God releases back into your life. Beloved one, there is a deeper layer now that Archangel Michael wants you to understand, because many receive a promise but fail to grasp the posture required to carry it. What is unfolding is not only about elevation, but about governance. Heaven is not merely increasing what comes to you. It is increasing what flows through you. That distinction changes everything. At this stage, the greatest battle is internal. External opposition is minimal compared to the quiet negotiations happening within your own thoughts. Archangel Michael says this is where many assigned ones stall. They look outward for resistance, not realizing the real test is whether they can remain aligned when old versions of themselves try to resurface. Familiar doubt does not mean truth. It simply means habit. You are being taught how to lead yourself before you are entrusted to lead outcomes. This is why discipline keeps appearing in your life recently. Not harsh discipline, but gentle conviction. Small corrections. Subtle nudges. Moments where you know what to do even when no one is watching. These are not insignificant. Heaven measures faithfulness in private long before it rewards publicly. The coming increase will demand clarity in how you speak, how you decide, and how you respond under pressure. Archangel Michael reveals that your words are becoming weighty. Casual negativity, self-deprecation, or careless agreement with limitation can now slow momentum. Not because God is offended, but because alignment requires consistency. You cannot speak abundance and rehearse lack at the same time. There is also a refinement happening in your relationships. You may notice conversations changing, interests shifting, and tolerance for certain patterns decreasing. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. As authority increases, tolerance for disorder decreases naturally. You are not becoming cold, you are becoming clear. and clarity can feel sharp to those who benefited from your confusion. Understand this. Responsibility is the true currency of elevation. Money, influence, and opportunity are simply expressions of trust. Archangel Michael says heaven has observed how you handled little authority, how you treated people who could not repay you, how you honored commitments that offered no recognition, how you remained upright when shortcuts were available. These things were recorded. This is also why patience hath been such a theme in your life. Patience is not passivity, it is strength under control. God does not rush vessels that carry long-term impact. Quick elevation without internal anchoring creates collapse. Your waiting was not wasted, it was stabilizing. There may be moments now where you feel the urge to rush ahead, to force outcomes, to prove something. Resist that impulse. Acceleration comes from obedience, not urgency. Archangel Michael cautions that counterfeit opportunities often appear right before authentic ones. They look similar, promise speed, but lack peace. Peace is your signal. If something pulls you out of peace, it is pulling you out of alignment. Another truth emerges here. You are being invited to trust your discernment again. Somewhere along the way, you learn to doubt your own knowing because of past mistakes or external criticism. But discernment matures through use, not avoidance. God refines judgment by allowing responsibility. You are allowed to decide. You are allowed to choose. Heaven supports movement more than perfection. This season will also test how you respond to recognition. Praise can be as destabilizing as criticism if identity is not anchored. Archangel Michael reminds you that you are not defined by applause or opposition. You are defined by assignment. Keep returning to that center. Notice how the message keeps unfolding gradually. That is intentional. Revelation is layered because capacity is built progressively. If everything were revealed at once, it would overwhelm rather than empower. God reveals what you need when you need it. There is also a quiet invitation here to let go of comparison. What others receive, how fast they rise, or how visible their success appears is irrelevant to your path. Comparison distorts timing and breeds impatience. Your assignment is custom-built. Your route is intentional. Your pace is precise. Archangel Michael says something important now. The reason this message continues to hold your attention is because your spirit recognizes governance language. You are not being spoken to as a follower, but as a steward. That is why the tone feels different. That is why it challenges rather than comforts. As you move forward, expect moments of confirmation that feel small but precise. A sentence you overhear. A phrase that repeats. An idea that refuses to leave. These are breadcrumbs, not coincidences. Follow them without obsession, but with awareness. You are learning to walk by trust, not pressure. By listening, not striving. By alignment, not force. And this is what prepares you for sustainable influence. What lies ahead will require courage but not recklessness, boldness but not ego, faith but not fantasy. Archangel Michael walks ahead of you, clearing what you cannot see yet. Remain steady. Remain humble. Remain responsive. What comes next will address the inner resistance that still lingers quietly in many hearts. And once that is released, movement becomes inevitable. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now turns your attention inward, to the resistance that does not shout but whispers. This is the kind of resistance that hides behind logic, caution, and being realistic. It is subtle, convincing, and often mistaken for wisdom. But heaven wants you to recognize it, because what you cannot name, you cannot overcome. Its resistance was formed in moments where hope disappointed you. Times when you believed fully, stepped forward sincerely, and the outcome did not match the promise you thought you heard. Those moments left impressions, not wounds you talk about openly, but quiet hesitations that surface when something big approaches. Archangel Michael says this is why your spirit feels both excited and guarded right now. You want to move, but a part of you wants proof first. Here is the truth. Proof follows obedience, not the other way around. Faith that waits for certainty is not faith at all. It is agreement with control, and control is often a response to past pain. God is not condemning that instinct. He is healing it. He is asking you to trust again, not blindly but relationally. Notice how often your mind tries to calculate outcomes before commitment. You replay scenarios, imagine worst cases, and attempt to protect yourself from disappointment. The habit once kept you safe, but now it is slowing you. Archangel Michael says safety is no longer your highest value. Alignment is. And alignment sometimes feels risky to a mind trained by survival. Here is also an old narrative that must be confronted now. The belief that receiving greatly requires losing yourself. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed the idea that abundance changes people for the worse, that influence isolates, that elevation costs intimacy. That belief is not entirely false, but it is incomplete. What truly changes people is unresolved insecurity, not provision. What isolates people is fear of being known, not success. God is not elevating you to strip you of authenticity. He is elevating you to refine it. You will not become less human. You will become more intentional. And yes, some dynamics will change, but not everything that changes is lost. Some things are simply shed because they no longer fit. Archangel Michael also addresses a quiet fear many chosen ones carry, the fear of responsibility outweighing joy. You have seen people burdened by what they prayed for. You have witnessed authority without peace, and you promised yourself you would never become like that. Heaven honors that desire. That is why joy is being restored before expansion arrives. Joy is not a reward. It is a requirement. Pay attention to the moments recently where simple things brought you unexpected peace. Laughter without guilt. Rest without anxiety. Stillness without fear. These are not distractions. They are calibrations. God is teaching your nervous system that increase does not mean chaos. This recalibration is essential. Another layer of resistance comes from identity confusion. You have worn many roles to survive. Helper, peacemaker, fixer, strong one. These roles were useful, but they are not your core identity. As God transitions you into stewardship, some of these roles will fall away. This can feel like loss, even when it is freedom. Archangel Michael says you are not abandoning who you were. You are integrating who you are becoming. You may also feel an unusual tension between urgency and patience, a sense that something must move, paired with an instruction to wait well. This tension is intentional. It teaches discernment. Not every movement is forward, and not every pause is delay. Learning the difference is part of maturity. Do not be surprised if old temptations return briefly, not because you are regressing, but because cycles close by offering one last invitation. What you refuse now loses authority permanently. This is a season of final choices, not dramatic ones, but quiet, decisive ones. The kind no one applauds, but heaven records. Archangel Michael reminds you that strength is not proven by how much you endure, but by how clearly you choose. You no longer need to tolerate what drains you to prove humility. You no longer need to explain your boundaries to earn permission. Authority begins where explanation ends. There is a deep exhale happening in your spirit as this lands. That exhale is surrender, not exhaustion. You are releasing the need to figure everything out before trusting God. You are allowing yourself to be led again. This is where momentum quietly builds, not through noise, but through agreement. Not through force, but through alignment. Once inner resistance loosens, outer movement follows naturally. Stay attentive. Stay honest. Stay responsive. What comes next will reveal how heaven restructures your priorities so that what is coming adds to your life instead of consuming it. This alignment will protect you more than you realize. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now brings structure to what has been stirring within you, because increase without order creates pressure instead of peace. What heaven is doing next is not adding more to your life, but rearranging what already exists. This is the stage where priorities are quietly reset, often without dramatic announcements, yet the effects are permanent. You may have noticed that certain things no longer hold your attention the way they once did. Activities, conversations, even ambitions that once felt urgent now feel neutral or heavy. This is not boredom, it is recalibration. When God prepares to entrust more, He first removes excess weight. Not everything heavy is sinful, some things are simply unnecessary for where you are going. Archangel Michael says this is where many people resist, because letting go feels like loss when you do not yet see what is replacing it. But heaven does not empty without intention. Space is being created so that what is aligned can enter without competition. This is why you are being invited to simplify, not because less is holy, but because clarity multiplies effectiveness. There is also a new seriousness forming in you, not grim or joyless, but focused. You are beginning to sense that your time carries value beyond productivity. Moments matter. Choices echo. Small decisions shape large outcomes. This awareness is not meant to burden you. It is meant to empower you. Stewardship begins with attention. Archangel Michael highlights how your internal compass is strengthening. You are less reactive, more discerning. Less eager to prove, more willing to pause. This is maturity, not hesitation. Heaven trusts those who can wait without losing momentum. Rushing often looks like confidence, but restraint reveals authority. In this phase, you may feel drawn to reorder practical areas of your life, schedules, commitments, even environments. Pay attention to that impulse. Order in the natural often precedes flow in the spiritual. God is not only preparing your spirit, He is preparing your systems. Overflow requires containers that can hold it. Another shift is happening in how you measure success. External validation is losing its grip, while internal alignment is gaining importance. You are beginning to ask different questions. Not does this suppress, but does this align? Not will this be noticed, but will this endure? These questions signal readiness for long-term influence. Archangel Michael also brings a gentle correction here. Do not confuse isolation with preparation. While some separation is necessary, withdrawal is not the goal. You are not being hidden away permanently. You are being refined temporarily. Balance matters. Stay connected to healthy voices that ground you, not flatter you. You may also encounter moments of fatigue that seem out of place. This is not weakness. It is integration. Your mind, emotions, and spirit are aligning at a deeper level, and integration requires rest. Do not shame yourself for slowing down. Rest is not a pause in purpose. It is part of the process. This is also a season where integrity becomes non-negotiable. Small compromises that once seemed harmless now feel heavy. Archangel Michael says this sensitivity is protection. Influence amplifies everything, including consequences. God is training you to live cleanly so that power does not corrupt clarity. Pay attention to how peace now guides your decisions. Peace does not always mean ease, but it carries a quiet assurance even when steps are challenging. Anxiety-driven decisions will feel louder, more urgent, more chaotic. Learn to distinguish the two. Peace is heaven's signature. As this message continues to unfold, engagement matters. When you like this video, share it, and leave a comment, you are not just interacting. You are declaring alignment. Subscribing keeps you connected to ongoing revelation, and that connection matters in seasons like this where clarity builds layer by layer. This is how you stay positioned, not distracted. Archangel Michael reminds you that awareness is a gift, but application completes it. What you do with what you hear determines what comes next. Revelation unused becomes information. Revelation applied becomes transformation. Hold on, because what follows will uncover a hidden pattern in your life that explains why certain doors closed, and why those closures were actually assignments in disguise. You will want to stay present for this, because it reframes your entire journey in a way that brings deep relief and renewed confidence. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now reveals a pattern that has quietly shaped your entire journey, even when you did not have language for it. This pattern explains the doors that closed unexpectedly, the paths that ended without warning, and the moments when progress seemed to vanish just as you were gaining momentum. What once felt like interruption was actually intervention. Here is a divine consistency to your story. Every time something would have limited your future, it was removed early. At the time, it felt unfair. You questioned yourself, questioned God, and wondered why stability always seemed temporary. But heaven was protecting trajectory, not comfort. God was never punishing you. He was preserving you from assignments that would have capped your capacity. Archangel Michael says many of the closures you experienced were not because you failed, but because you would have succeeded too quickly in spaces that could not sustain your calling. Early success in the wrong environment can be more damaging than delay in the right one. What looked like rejection was often mercy in disguise. Think back and notice the pattern. Jobs you outgrew faster than expected. Relationships that ended just as you were becoming more aware. Opportunities that vanished, only to later reveal hidden complications you could not see at the time. These were not accidents. Heaven was editing your life with precision. This is why resilience became one of your core traits. You learned how to start again without losing hope. You learned how to rebuild without becoming bitter. You learned how to walk forward carrying wisdom instead of wounds. That resilience is not random. It is required for what you are about to steward. Archangel Michael reveals that the enemy often tries to reframe divine protection as personal failure. He whispers narratives like, "You always lose," or "Nothing lasts," or "Why try again?" Those narratives are lies built on partial truth. Yes, things ended, but they ended because they were temporary by design. Permanence was never their assignment. This understanding shifts how you view your past. Instead of seeing a trail of losses, you begin to see a trail of guidance. God was shepherding you through environments that trained you, sharpened you, and released you before stagnation could set in. You were never meant to settle early. There is also a reason why you have always felt a pull toward something more, even when life was stable. That pull is not dissatisfaction. It is calling. Comfort without alignment creates restlessness. Your spirit has always known there was more, even when your mind tried to convince you to settle. Archangel Michael wants you to release regret now. Regret ties emotional energy to seasons that are complete. Wisdom honors the lesson without reliving the pain. You did the best you could with the understanding you had at the time. Growth does not invalidate effort. It completes it. This revelation also explains why certain people could not stay with you. Some were assigned for a chapter, not the whole book. Others were mirrors, not companions. They reflected what needed healing, not what needed keeping. Their departure does not diminish their role, it defines it. As this settles, you may feel a strange mix of relief and grief. Relief because things finally make sense. Grief because you realize how hard you were on yourself for things you could not control. Archangel Michael says allow both. Healing often includes mourning old misunderstandings of your own story. Now hear this carefully. The pattern of removal is ending. Not because loss is over forever, but because foundation hath been laid. You are no longer being redirected every season. You are being established. That shift is significant. Establishment requires maturity, discernment, and endurance, all of which you now possess. This is also why what comes next will feel different. It will grow slower but deeper, quieter but stronger, less dramatic but more secure. You are transitioning from breakthrough cycles into building cycles. Building does not feel as exciting as breakthrough, but it creates legacy. Archangel Michael says you are stepping into a season where things remain, where consistency replaces chaos, where progress compounds instead of resets. This does not mean challenges disappear. It means they no longer uproot you. Let this truth anchor you. Nothing in your past was wasted. Even the pain was productive. Even the delays were directional. Even the endings were assignments. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not disqualified. You are prepared. As you continue forward, the next revelation will speak to how to guard this new stability without becoming rigid or fearful, and how to remain flexible while building something that lasts. This balance is crucial, and it will define the quality of what you carry into the future. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about protection, not the kind that hides you, but the kind that stabilizes you. As your life begins to settle into consistency, a new challenge emerges, learning how to guard what God establishes without becoming rigid, suspicious, or fearful. Many people lose momentum here, not because of attack, but because they confuse vigilance with control. Stability can feel unfamiliar when your past was marked by constant change. Part of you may still expect disruption, even when things are going well. That expectation is not prophecy, it is memory. Archangel Michael says this is where trust must mature. You are no longer living in survival mode. You are learning how to steward peace without bracing for impact. There is a temptation in this season to overprotect, overthinking decisions, overanalyzing people, and hesitating where confidence is required. While caution has its place, fear-based caution constricts flow. Heaven is teaching you a different posture, discernment without defensiveness. Discernment listens calmly. Defensiveness reacts quickly. Knowing the difference will preserve your joy. Another adjustment is learning how to remain flexible while building something that lasts. Flexibility does not mean instability. It means responsiveness. God may refine plans without canceling purpose. Some details will shift. Some methods will evolve. This does not mean you heard wrong. It means you are growing. Archangel Michael encourages you not to panic when adjustments come. Refinement is not reversal. You are also being invited to redefine strength. Strength is no longer pushing through everything alone. It is knowing when to delegate, when to rest, and when to receive. Receiving support does not weaken authority. It multiplies it. Isolation is not holiness. Sustainable impact is built in community, even if that community is smaller than before. Notice how your emotional responses are changing. Situations that once triggered anxiety now invite reflection. Conversations that once drained you now clarify boundaries. This is evidence of healing. Emotional regulation is not suppression. It is mastery. God is teaching you how to remain centered regardless of circumstance. Archangel Michael says this is also a season to guard your inner narrative. How you speak to yourself matters more now than ever. Self-criticism that once motivated growth will now sabotage confidence. Correction should be precise, not condemning. You are allowed to acknowledge mistakes without questioning your assignment. You may feel heaven urging you to slow certain areas while accelerating others. This selective pacing is intentional. Not everything grows at the same speed. Forcing uniform progress creates imbalance. Trust the rhythm God sets. He knows which foundations need more time and which walls can rise quickly. As this message continues, engagement matters. When you like this video, share it and comment. You are reinforcing alignment. Subscribing keeps you connected to ongoing clarity, and staying connected matters in seasons where refinement is subtle but critical. Hold on, because what is unfolding here is not surface-level encouragement. It is structural preparation. Archangel Michael also warns against spiritual pride disguised as independence. Saying "I've got this" too quickly can cut off divine instruction. Confidence and humility must grow together. Remain teachable even as you become influential. The higher you go, the more listening matters. This is where many people either solidify legacy or stall growth. Legacy is not built by intensity alone. It is built by consistency. Showing up, staying aligned, choosing integrity repeatedly. These quiet decisions accumulate into authority that cannot be shaken. As you receive this, something settles deeper in you. A sense that you no longer need to rush, prove, or defend. That settling is strength. Archangel Michael says peace is now one of your greatest protections. Guard it well. Type "I am established" in the comments if this message confirms what God is doing in you. Blessing code 2389 is being released over those who respond in agreement. And hear this as the Spirit continues to move. This message reaches people because there are those assigned to help carry it. I am speaking to those who feel the nudge to support what God is building here. When you release through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a person. You are advancing a calling. God declares that those who pour into good ground will see rivers rise in their own lives. This is a moment of obedience, not delay. I bless every supporter now with multiplied peace, protected resources, and wisdom in every decision. Act in faith, respond now, and watch how heaven responds to you. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to momentum, how it is built, how it is sustained, and how it is sometimes misunderstood. Momentum in God's design is not sudden chaos or non-stop motion. It is directed movement that grows stronger because it is aligned. This is important for you to understand now, because the season ahead will test not your faith, but your consistency. You are entering a phase where results begin to appear more steadily. Not explosively at first, but reliably. And reliability can feel underwhelming to those conditioned to expect constant drama. Yet heaven values sustainability more than spectacle. What lasts glorifies God more than what impresses people briefly. Archangel Michael says one of the greatest dangers at this stage is impatience disguised as ambition. When you sense momentum, there can be a temptation to accelerate everything at once, to expand too quickly. to say yes too often, to build faster than your foundation can support. Wisdom now is knowing that speed must match structure. Going faster than your framework allows creates stress fractures you may not notice until later. This is also where discernment sharpens around opportunities. Not every open door is your door. Some doors are open because they are available, not because they are assigned. Availability does not equal alignment. You are being trained to ask a different question, not can I, but should I. That question protects energy, focus, and integrity. Archangel Michael reveals that your yes is becoming powerful, which means your no must become precise. Saying no is not rejection of people. It is protection of purpose. You do not owe everyone access to your time, vision, or resources. Stewardship includes boundaries. Boundaries do not restrict love. They direct it. Another lesson unfolding now is learning how to manage expectations, both yours and others. As consistency grows, people may begin to expect more from you. Some expectations will be reasonable. Others will be projections of what they want you to be for them. You are not called to fulfill projections. You are called to fulfill assignment. Staying anchored in the truth will keep you from burnout. There is also a subtle shift happening in how you experience motivation. You may notice that emotional excitement is no longer the primary driver. Instead, quiet commitment carries you forward. This is maturity. Motivation rooted only in emotion fades quickly. Commitment rooted in purpose endures. Archangel Michael emphasizes that discipline will now outperform inspiration. Inspiration ignites beginnings. Discipline sustains journeys. You are learning to show up even when feelings fluctuate. This does not make you mechanical. It makes you dependable. Dependability is a form of faithfulness heaven rewards. You may encounter moments where progress feels slow compared to your internal vision. That gap can create frustration if misunderstood. Remember this: vision often runs ahead of manifestation. The delay between the two is not denial, it is development. God develops capacity while vision remains constant. Capacity catches up quietly. Another area being refined is how you handle feedback. Correction will come, not as criticism, but as calibration. Receive it without defensiveness. Reject what is not aligned, but do not dismiss wisdom simply because it challenges you. Pride resists refinement. Authority welcomes it. Archangel Michael also warns against nostalgia. Looking back too often can distort perception of the present. You are allowed to honor your past without living in it. Constantly comparing now to then can rob you of gratitude for current growth. This season requires forward focus. Notice how your sense of purpose now feels less fragile. Earlier, doubt could shake it easily. Now, questions may arise, but they no longer destabilize you. That stability is evidence of rooting. Roots grow underground, unseen, but they determine how high something can rise without toppling. You are also learning how to rest without guilt. Rest used to feel like wasted time. Now it feels like maintenance. That shift matters. A rested mind discerns better. A rested spirit listens clear. God does not need you exhausted to use you effectively. Archangel Michael says this is the stage where legacy thinking begins to replace outcome obsession. You are beginning to ask, what will this look like over time? Instead of what will this produce immediately? That question aligns you with builders, not sprinters. Do not underestimate what is happening now simply because it feels steady. Steady growth compounds. Small faithful actions, repeated, create outcomes that look sudden only to those who were not paying attention. You are learning to walk without rushing, to build without striving, and to move without forcing. This rhythm is not accidental. It is the rhythm of someone entrusted with long-term impact. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Remain obedient. What comes next will speak directly to how to navigate visibility when it increases, how to remain authentic, protected, and spiritually clear when more eyes are watching. This understanding will guard your heart as your influence expands. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about visibility because increase eventually brings attention. Whether you seek it or not, what God builds with consistency becomes noticeable. Visibility itself is not the reward, but it is a responsibility. How you carry yourself when more eyes are watching will determine how long what you build remains standing. Visibility has a way of magnifying everything. Strengths become clearer, but so do cracks. This is why heaven prepared your inner world before expanding your outer reach. You are not stepping into visibility as someone trying to impress, but as someone grounded in assignment. That grounding will protect you when opinions multiply. Archangel Michael reminds you that not all attention is affirmation. Some will watch to learn, others to compare, and some simply to criticize. None of these should define you. The danger is not being seen. The danger is becoming reactive to being seen. When you adjust your identity to match the audience, you dilute authority. Stay rooted in who God called you to be before anyone noticed. There may be moments when visibility feels uncomfortable, even intrusive. You may feel misunderstood or misrepresented. Resist the urge to over-explain. Explanation often comes from insecurity, not clarity. Truth does not require constant defense. Consistency will speak louder than clarification ever could. Another challenge of visibility is temptation toward performance. When people begin to expect something from you, it can feel easier to maintain an image than to remain authentic. Archangel Michael warns that performance exhausts the soul, but authenticity sustains it. You are not called to maintain momentum through pressure. You are called to maintain alignment through honesty. You will also need to discern which voices deserve access. Visibility attracts opinions, but not all opinions are equal. Feedback from those who understand your assignment carries weight. Noise from those who do not should not shape your direction. Discernment will save you from unnecessary emotional labor. Archangel Michael says this is where humility must deepen, not shrink. Humility does not mean downplaying what God is doing. It means acknowledging the source. Confidence that gives God credit remains clean. Confidence that feeds ego becomes brittle. Keep your heart teachable, even as your platform expands. You may also feel a renewed pressure to always be on. Resist that lie. You are allowed to be human. Rest does not disqualify you. Silence does not diminish your impact. Boundaries are not barriers. They are safeguards. Sustainable visibility includes protected privacy. As your influence grows, alignment becomes more important than approval. Approval shifts constantly. Alignment anchors you. There will be times when doing the right thing costs popularity. Those moments refine authority. Heaven values obedience more than applause. This is also a season to remain connected. Staying engaged here matters because revelation builds progressively. When you like this video, share it, and leave a comment, you are not just interacting. You are signaling agreement and readiness. Subscribing keeps you positioned to receive what unfolds next, and that consistency matters more now than ever. Archangel Michael emphasizes that community protects clarity. Isolation and invisibility creates distortion. Stay connected to voices that remind you of truth, not hype. Growth without grounding leads to imbalance. There is also joy in this stage if you allow it. Visibility does not have to be heavy. You are permitted to enjoy what God is building. Gratitude keeps success light. Joy keeps influence human. Do not postpone joy until everything is perfect. Joy now strengthens you for what comes later. If at any moment you feel overwhelmed, return to simplicity. Assignment, obedience, faithfulness. These never change, regardless of scale. Complexity grows, but foundation remains the same. Hold on, because what comes next will reveal how heaven brings closure to cycles that no longer serve you, and how to step fully into what is next without carrying emotional residue from what is ending. This transition is sacred, and understanding it will protect you from unnecessary weight as you move forward. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about holy closure, because no one can fully step into what is ahead while still carrying emotional weight from what God is finishing. Endings are sacred in heaven. They are not signs of failure. They are confirmations that a season has accomplished its assignment. What you are experiencing now is not loss. It is completion. There are cycles in your life that have quietly expired. You may sense it through fading emotional charge, diminishing attachment, or a lack of energy toward things that once consumed you. This is not numbness. It is release. When something has taught you what it was meant to teach, it no longer demands the same emotional investment. Archangel Michael says this is wisdom maturing. Many people struggle here because they confuse familiarity with calling. Just because something was once important does not mean it must remain permanent. God never intended you to drag old seasons into new assignments. Emotional residue from past disappointments, betrayals, or missed expectations can subtly shape how you approach the future. Heaven wants that residue cleared now. You may notice memories surfacing unexpectedly, not to torment you but to be healed fully. What resurfaces now is not reopening wounds, it is sealing them. Archangel Michael explains that unfinished emotions demand attention before they release authority. What you acknowledge consciously loses power unconsciously. There is also forgiveness happening at a deeper level. Not performative forgiveness, not forced forgiveness, but integrated forgiveness. The kind where the story no longer controls your nervous system. The kind where recalling the past no longer alters your peace. That is the forgiveness heaven values, because it restores internal governance. You are also being released from false responsibility. You carried burdens that were never yours to begin with. You tried to fix, rescue, and stabilize people who were on their own journeys. That compassion was sincere, but it became weight over time. Archangel Michael says compassion without boundaries turns into bondage. You are now being freed from that pattern. This is where self-trust is restored. You no longer need to second-guess every instinct or revisit every decision. Reflection is healthy, rumination is not. You have learned discernment through experience. You are allowed to move forward without relitigating your past. Another closure happening now involves identity. Versions of yourself that were formed out of necessity are being laid down. You are not abandoning them. You are honoring them by acknowledging they carried you as far as they could. Survival versions of you kept you alive. Now thriving versions of you are being activated to carry you forward. Archangel Michael says this transition may feel quieter than expected. No dramatic goodbye. No grand emotional release. Just a steady sense of I don't need to carry this anymore. Quiet closure is often the deepest closure. It means healing has reached the subconscious, not just the intellect. There may also be people who fade naturally from your life in this season. No conflict. No explanation. Just distance. Do not chase clarity where peace has already answered. Mutual silence is sometimes mutual agreement that a chapter has ended. Honor it without bitterness. This is also where gratitude becomes powerful. Gratitude reframes memory. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" you begin to ask, "What did this give me?" A shift transforms narrative from pain to purpose. Your story is not defined by what hurt you, but by what refined you. Archangel Michael emphasizes that closure does not mean forgetting. It means remembering without being ruled by it. Wisdom remembers. Fear lives. You are moving into wisdom. If closure settles, space opens. Space in your mind. Space in your heart. Space in your schedule. That space is not emptiness. It is invitation. God never clears space without intending to fill it with something aligned. Resist the urge to rush into filling it yourself. Let heaven lead. You may feel a subtle excitement beneath the stillness. That is anticipation without anxiety. It signals readiness. You are no longer bracing for disappointment. You are available for direction. Availability is the posture heaven responds to most. Archangel Michael says you are now standing at a threshold, not rushing through it, not hesitating before it, simply standing, aware, grounded, and willing. That posture matters. The next movement will not require striving. It will require agreement. And agreement flows easily when the past no longer pulls backward. Stay present. Stay open. Stay willing. What comes next is not something you chase. It is something that meets you. And when it does, you will recognize it, not by noise but by peace. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks the final seal over this message, because what you have been walking through is not information. It is initiation. You are not ending a video. You are crossing a line internally. This is the moment where understanding becomes embodiment, where awareness becomes agreement, and where agreement becomes movement. Everything that has been revealed was not meant to excite you temporarily, but to reposition you permanently. You are no longer asking whether something is coming. You are being shown how to stand when it arrives. Heaven does not rush endings or beginnings. It honors readiness. And readiness is exactly what has been formed in you. Archangel Michael says there is a quiet confidence now settling into your spirit. Not loud, not performative, but rooted. This confidence does not come from knowing every detail. It comes from knowing who walks with you. You have been trained to listen, to discern, and to respond without panic. That training is about to be used. You may notice that fear has lost its sharp edge. It may still whisper, but it no longer commands. That is authority forming. Fear does not disappear when you are brave. It loses power when you stop negotiating with it. You are no longer negotiating your calling. You are agreeing with it. This is where the meaning of the title completes itself. The billion-dollar language was never about numbers. It was about trust at scale. God entrusts influence, resources, and reach to those who have learned obedience in private, restraint in temptation, and humility in growth. That is why this message found you now. Archangel Michael affirms that you are not waiting for permission anymore. Heaven has already spoken. What remains is your yes, expressed not in words but in choices. Daily alignment, quiet obedience, consistent integrity. These are the currencies of the next season. You are also being reminded not to look for dramatic signs to confirm what has already been confirmed internally. Peace is your confirmation. Clarity is your signal. Alignment is your evidence. When God speaks clearly, He does not repeat Himself endlessly. He waits for response. There will be moments ahead that feel surprisingly ordinary. Do not mistake ordinary moments for insignificant ones. Destiny often moves through routine. The habit you form, the boundary you keep, the decision you make when no one is watching, these shape outcomes more than sudden events ever could. Archangel Michael says the grace on your life now is for sustainability. Not quick rise and quick fall, but steady growth and enduring impact. This grace protects you from burnout, from ego traps, and from unnecessary detours. Remain responsive to it. You are also released from the pressure to convince anyone of what God is doing. Your life will explain itself over time. Fruit speaks louder than argument. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Stay aligned. As this message concludes, understand this: nothing you heard requires striving. It requires trust. Trust that God finishes what He starts. Trust that preparation was purposeful. Trust that timing is intentional. You are not late. You are not early. You are aligned. Archangel Michael stands as witness to this agreement. What you carry next will not feel heavy because it matches your capacity. You were shaped for this. You were prepared for this. You were chosen for this. Type "I step into alignment" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 9041 is now activated over those who respond in faith and agreement. And now hear this final word as the Spirit gently calls. If this message has guided you, strengthened you, or awakened clarity within you, I am speaking directly to you. God says that those who help carry His word become part of the harvest it produces. When you sow through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting content. You are advancing purpose. Heaven declares that what is released from your hand in obedience will return multiplied in wisdom, provision, and peace. This is a prophetic response, not a delay. I bless every giver now with open doors, protected resources, and divine alignment in every step. Act now, obey the nudge, and watch how God honors your yes.